back to my channel. Today I bring you August wrap-up. And yes, I say that I'm bringing wrap-ups the second Saturday of every month, and I've been very diligent about that. But this month I just needed to push it a little bit later. It's planned. I didn't forget about it, which is good because I could have, but yeah. So it was all by design. Anyway, I had a very nice reading month. I planned to read 5 books which I really wanted to read in that month, and I managed to read them, so I feel very accomplished, and I actually even managed to read a couple of books more in between those. So yeah, it was a great reading month, and let's get started. The first book, or well, series that I read this month, and one of the ones that I really wanted to get to, was the A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sir Jemima's series. And I'm not gonna go into a lot of details to any of the books because I actually recorded already a video about them and talking just about them, which I'm gonna link over here and down below in the description box so you can go check it out. I'm gonna just give a very over review about them and what I thought. Basically, the whole thing, the whole plot is that you have the Faes and you have the humans, and they are enemies because the Fae enslaved the humans a couple centuries ago, and obviously there is a lot of hatred for the Fae by the humans. And there is a wall that divides the two worlds, so you know they cannot fight and another world that they had a war, and you have both of them very removed and a lot of hate and a lot of history in between them. And you have Pharaoh, who is a human huntress, and the only sustain and support for her family. She's the one that has to feed them and all of that to her 2 sisters and her father, and they live in a little cottage in the edge of the wall that divides the 2 worlds. So it's a very dangerous place, but necessity, you know, and they have to do that. She has to do that. She has to go and hunt in the forest that divides, and in a day when she's just going about her business and trying to find food in the middle of the winter, which is very difficult, she encounters a Fae, and she will be indebted to this Fae, so she has to go to live in the Fae lands to save her family's life, her own life, and she will encounter a lot of dangers in the savage and wild lands of the Fae, which I think it's just very interesting and very different from the other books that Mass has done, because we don't know a lot about the Fae, contrary to the other ones when they are more explored. I like that. It's very folklorishly and fairy tale-ish in the sense that that's the idea. The books are mostly retellings. The first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses, is a retelling for Beauty and the Beast, so it's very, you know, like the bedtime stories that you read, but a lot more grounded and realistic, which I really liked. But that kind of fantasy, it's not my favorite kind of fantasy. I prefer a more epic approach, so I enjoy them, but I wasn't a huge fan overall of them. The first book was very up and down for me, but I enjoyed Pharaoh, so that's a plus most of the time anyway. And I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the series, and I loved because it's a huge improvement for the first one. It's just so good, and it deals with a lot of PTSD and mental health and all of these things that Mass knows how to do, and I just love the characters with all my heart. I gave it 5 stars. I can rave about that book. Then I read A Court of Winds and Ruin, the third book and the last book in the first act of the series, which wasn't bad, but it felt the pacing was all over the place, though the ending was really good and very fitting, and I feel like it connected everything very well, which it's very important. But yeah, the pacing was just all over the place. But it wasn't a bad book. I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars, but yeah. Then I read A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a novella, and I'm making my point about this again because it's just, for me, it's not a novella. It's too long for me to be in a novella. It's a companion book. But enough said about that, literally. It's just a fluffy little holiday piece that has a lot of love and a lot of love, and it's just nice and overall very easy to read. It does set the stages for the next act very well, which I appreciate, but it's just a nice little thing that will make your heart all warm and fluffy. I gave it 3.5 stars, and that's the wrap for the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And then I read a novella, a proper novella with less than 100 pages, that is The Donchorus by Samantha Shannon, and this is a novella in the Bones season series, and it's between book 3 and 4, which hasn't come out yet. And it was really, really, really good. Very raw, very, very hurtful, because oh my god, it hurts a lot, but it's so nice that it took a time to deal with everything that needed to deal. Again, I cannot say a lot about this because it's a novella and a lot of spoilers, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about what the Bone season is. And the Bone season is this dystopia where in the late 1800s or something about that time, voyants, clairvoyants and mediums and all these things started to gain real power, like literally they can see ghosts and all of that. It's very, very real. And they became carriers of society, what a surprise, and they are hunted, for better words, for lack of better words, they are hunted. And this society became a scion, a citadel where they are named abnormal and they are hunted, but they never get everyone because pockets of resistance and all of that. And you have the underbelly of London where the criminal society of clairvoyants exists, and you have Paige Mahoney, who is a very specific and very rare kind of clairvoyant, and she's just going about her life being very careful because obviously she doesn't want to get in the hands of the Scion authorities until she is captured, and she will discover a lot of things that will change everything. And it's such a good series. I really, really like it. I enjoy it. The character growth is really good, and I just really recommend because it's so interesting. Yeah, so the novella, it's the 3.5 book in the series, and it deals a lot with PTSD and mental trauma and physical recovery, so it's very raw. Shannon did not hesitate into dealing with all of these very head on and all the feelings, which was really, really nice. And I really like that she took the time to do it outside of the main book. I'm sure she's still gonna be dealing with it in the book, but just have this moment in time to deal with this right now. And I think that's very, very helpful. It's also really good to remind everything that has been going on, because it's been a while since the last book came out, and especially since I read it as well, so it was very good at reminding me of everything that has happened in the series so far, so points for that as well. And yeah, I was not crying through the whole thing, but chills through the whole thing. I was on edge, my heart was pumping really hard, and I just hurt a lot because of the book, and I really, really loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and yeah. Then I read Midnight Sun, which was the other book that I really wanted to read this month. Again, I have a video already talking about it, so you can go and check it down below. I'm gonna leave the link and over here. So it's very, very in-depth and kind of spoilery, but not too bad, but you can go. I have marked where the spoilers are if you don't want them anyway. Yeah, so Midnight Sun is the Twilight spin-off. For me, it's kind of a spin-off, even though it's considered part of the series. But it's just Twilight, but from Edward's point of view. That's just what it is. So you have a bunch of insight, which was really nice. I really enjoyed all the Collins content and all the extra details that obviously just Edward could know. I really enjoyed that, and I had a lot of fun reading the book, which I didn't thought would happen. So that was a big surprise for me. I entered with a lot of trepidation, and it was actually pretty enjoyable. The writing style is really nice, even though it's still very problematic. I will not say that it is not. It's obviously she couldn't fix it, she couldn't change everything. So it's still very problematic. If it did give a little bit more of insight into some things, and maybe it's a little less terrible for saying it like that, but yeah, I gave it 3.75 stars and it was nice. Then I read a bunch of novellas, 3 to be more specific. This is the month of the novellas. That's funny. Anyway, I read 3 novellas in the Green Creek series, which I love, and you probably already heard me talk about them. And it's just basically this world where we have, and we follow different characters actually, but the kickstart of everything, we have Ox, who is a very normal teenager and nothing very special about him or anything like that, and he's just going about his life very normally until the house at the end of the road that has been empty since he can remember, it's finally occupied by this very peculiar family that will change everything about Ox's life. And the first book, it's called Wolf Song, so you can have an idea of what everything is about. And I love it. The fun family, it's so nice, and I just love all the drama because I love drama, that's just who I am. And it's really nice, and I'm finally getting to the novellas because for some reason I just postpone them all the time and never got to them. And the first novella that I read is Love Song, which is 2.5 in the series, and it's narrated by Elizabeth, one of my favorite characters, and one of the reasons I really wanted to read it. And again, I don't know why I hadn't read it before. And I expected to be hurt. I expected it to hurt a lot because of things that happened, and it did deliver in that beautifully. I was in tears from beginning to end. It's super short as well, but I was in tears through beginning to end. It was just so hurtful and so good because I love it when they make me cry a lot. And Elizabeth's book was really nice, even if it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I must say that it wasn't exactly what I wanted out of it, but it was really nice. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Feral Song, which is the 3.5 novella in the series, and wasn't as hurtful as the other one, which I'm glad, but it is still hurt. I love all the posts because we have characters that I wanted so badly to get posts from, which are the Bennett siblings, and we finally get some posts from them, and I'm so happy about that. Yeah, but it's really nice and it was very satisfactory. I gave it 3.75 stars. And then I read Love Song Part 2, which is the 3.6 novella in the series. It's narrated again by Elizabeth, and this one did give me what I wanted, which was a little bit of background in Elizabeth's character, just her remembering the past, which I really wanted to happen, and it did, and it hurt just as much as I wanted it to hurt. I love all the rage that these 3 novellas have, just because I feel like it's very realistic, very human, and I love that. And I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. Then the last book I read this month, last month, was Lost Boy by Christina Henry, and this one it's a special because it's the first horror book I've ever read. I'm a chicken. I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that I get scared very easily. During the last couple years, maybe not as easily, but I'm not a huge fan, and I wanted to dip my toes into this genre and see if I can stomach it and if I can like it, because you never know until you actually try it. And I think this book was really good to do that, because it's terrible in the whole scary kind of thing. It's more gory and bloody than anything else. And if you're wondering what Lost Boy is, it's just a Peter Pan retelling. And I'm not a huge fan of Peter Pan. I kind of like it, but also I'm pretty meh about it and usually will avoid it. But this one, it's really interesting because first it's very bloody, but also it's like a backstory, and you have how Hook became Hook, Captain Hook, which I think is really interesting. And the whole idea is that Captain Hook was a boy once, and he was Peter Pan's best friend, except that Peter Pan in this book, it's very much more bloody and sadistic and cruel, which I love the idea because it kind of makes a lot of sense, and I just really enjoy the whole retelling aspect of it. It was very interesting. It was unsettling. I will say that it was very unsettling and disturbing because of what it deals with, but it was not super scary. There was just like the one night where I was scared, but I scared myself because the power was out and I was reading in the middle of the night and everybody in my house was asleep and I was the only one awake. And yeah, I unsettled myself with that one. It's my fault. There was no noise, not anything. That was my fault. I recognize that. But overall, I was not really scared, just a little unsettled reading the book. It's very gory, very bloody, which I appreciate. And I liked the characters, I liked the story, and I think it was perfect to dip my toes into horror. I will be revisiting the genre. So that's a very good thing, I think. I gave it 4 stars and I'm just satisfied. And that was my August reading TBR, or a list, or whatever you want to call it. I'm very proud of everything I read that month. It was really nice, even if it was a little mixed over there. I enjoyed everything a lot. And I'm overall just very happy. Tell me what you read on August, how many books, or what you thought of your reading month. Was it good? Was it bad? And just let's chat it down below a little bit. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the little bell icon so you can get notified every time I post a new video, which is every Saturday. And I'll see you next week. Bye!